Hey guys, it's Bob Ferngren, and I'm back with another 8-minute video on network marketing. My hope, my prayer, my desire for you is that my long-term experience in network marketing can help cut down your learning curve. In the previous video, the previous video, if you haven't watched it, I would certainly watch it. I talked about he or she who asked the best questions wins. So let's talk more about questions, right? Now there's one side of this new world of social selling that's, all about speed and getting you to buy directly off of a post they do. I don't know anything about how well that works long term. I mean, to me, what I've seen is people have to constantly be recruiting people to do that because there's no relationship there. It's just a selling thing. Nothing wrong with it. If that's your thing, go for it. See, I'm all about building long-term wealth, financial freedom, debt freedom, life on your own terms. No, if you choose, no BOSS, no JOB, life on your terms. That's what I'm all about, and that's what I love helping people do. So how would you ever get someone to join you for a long-term commitment without really getting to know them? Understanding what their real issues are. It's funny, yesterday's video was posted in one of our groups, and somebody responded with, "Yeah, that's just like marriage." Yeah, just like marriage, you got to care enough about the other person that you're really willing to get to know them, what makes them tick, what's important to them, what are their goals, what are their dreams, right? Why would anybody want to be a business builder on your team if you're like bypassing all that caring concern stuff? And truthfully, if you don't care and concern, just go off and sell some products and hope nobody ever calls you. And I'm not trying to be passive aggressive. I'm trying to help you understand so you put yourself in the lane you want to be in. If you want to be in the wealth lane, then you got to do what the successful people have always done. It's called going slow to go fast. Going slow to go fast. I've shared this with you a few hundred times already. Selling products will add to your checks, right? Of course they would. That's a good thing. Having business builders on your team will multiply your check and multiply your reach and the amount of people that you're helping. So think about it. Since we talked about marriage, let's talk about romance. Could you even imagine, oh man, you find somebody online, legitimate online dating site, or you meet someone in real time, and so you go to meet with them and you're like zooming right for, an end result. We'll just leave it at that. How well you think that's going to go over, even if you get that result? How long you think that relationship's going to last, right? Versus you show up for the first date, whatever it's called. I've never done online dating. And you meet the person and little sparks are flying. So you genuinely care about that person. And did you know that when you're asking that person great questions, they actually feel good about themselves because somebody's asking them questions and then really listening? Because, if you're excited and you're interested in that person becoming someone you want to continue to date and maybe further on, then you're going to work it. Listen, men and women worked it to get the spouse they got. Now, I would think, from what I've seen, 50% of them end up in divorce. And that's because they stopped working it. You never stop working relationships, or they stop. Let's be honest about that, right? And the only person you can control in a relationship is you. So if you're the only person you can control in a relationship and you're in a prospecting and recruiting mode to find serious business builders, don't you think you ought to treat it as serious as romance? I'm not talking about crossing any lines. Don't ever think I'm talking immoral things. But don't you think like, hey, this is potentially a long-term relationship I'm going to be in. So I want to know as much as I can. We don't have to go so far, but enough to know that person, what makes them tick. And then if you really care about people, you're going to ask them truthful questions like, well, how much money a month would really make a difference? And just like in that romantic situation, would you be like interested in their answer, or would you want to just jump them with the next question? You don't want to jump them with the next question. You want to listen, because you may have other questions that, pop out from their initial response. How much money a month would make a difference? Tell me, what would you do with fill in the blank, that dollar amount each month? How would that change your life? What would that feel like? And if I could show you a way to help you earn fill in the blank, is that something you'd like to know more about? You see, I haven't sold them anything yet. All I've really done, just like in dating, is I'm trying to get permission to get to the next date. And the next date, it could be like, when I met my current wife, the woman of my dreams, the sparks were flying. I couldn't wait to see her again, right? And so our next moment was the very next moment. I met her at dinner one night. It was just a random thing. I invited her to go hiking the next day, a random thing. I invited her to go breakfast, not a random thing. Well, hiking wasn't random either. I kind of dug her. Then I asked her to go to breakfast, and then, we had a meeting that night, business-related meeting, and I asked her to go to dinner. So I kept the follow-ups going because I was excited and genuinely interested in her, right? I put on the full Bob Ferngren personality and charm. And when I think back on every serious business builder that I've ever personally frontlined recruited, I can remember clearly all the initial conversations where I was really getting to know them about their family, their likes, their hobbies, where did they live, learning about their spouse, their children, if they had children, their job. And then I asked them questions about the business. And you know what? I got to be honest with you. You got to get this, because I may have two stories to wrap this up with, but I have one. You may have heard that I'm the past president and chief executive officer for several large national restaurant chains. So I have been headhunted and recruited for big time jobs. So when you get recruited, you get flown wherever to meet the board of directors or the decision makers or whatever. And, they start asking you questions. But you see, I always came with my questions. You're meeting an important, busy person. I came with my questions. And I'm going to give you a little secret to my previous success in getting those jobs. When I would go get interviewed, they would say, well, tell me about yourself. And I'd tell them enough about myself, and then I would ask a question about the company. But I would position that company in a complimentary fashion. I would get the interviewer, I'm the interviewee, the interviewer talking. I would get them to talk so much, and I'm not exaggerating. This was my goal. I learned this about being the person who asked the best questions. If I had an hour-long interview, I promise you the person interviewing me talked 90% of the time. And I can remember 3 or 4 incidents right now where the person would finish and go, well, your resume looks great, and, I just feel great about you. I feel like I did all the talking. Yeah, that was my goal, because the person who does all the talking feels good about themselves. And when they feel good about themselves, that transmutes to how they feel about you. I'm going to keep talking about questions in the upcoming videos. But please like, share, subscribe. Please, please. People need to hear this stuff. Hey, let's go.